right, welcome back for another episode of Hidden Gems. This is the video series where I talk about those books that are still probably tucked away in those boxes at your LCS, just in those back issue bins. These aren't like the hot books, these aren't the wall books. These are some undervalued, underappreciated, forgotten about, and overlooked type of stuff. Some of these are just weird things that I like. Some things, as I said, are worth a little bit more than you might have thought. So I'm just going to spotlight a few little oddball things that I found interesting this week and see what you guys think. Hopefully you're enjoying this series as well as everything else here on the channel. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Please like, subscribe, hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Keep telling your friends so we can keep growing the channel. We are closing in on 2,500 subs. Once we get there, we'll probably do another big giveaway or two. So, yeah, if you like free stuff, tell your friends. So we're almost there. And with that, if you want to see what books I have for you this week, all you got to do is hang on for a few seconds after the intro, and I will be right back. All right, so what do we got for you this week? This week, we are going to start off with a couple of later prints. You guys know I like the second prints, third prints, fourth prints. These later printings, they're just interesting, especially when there's new cover art on them. And this week's group is all new cover art. So we are going to start in with some Fantastic Four second prints. This is right in that storyline where it goes down to 3 and they lose a member. So might be spoiling something here by showing you some of these covers. But if you haven't read this by now, well, you're about a decade behind. So with that all said, we're going to start off with the second print for issue 583. This is the first part of 3, where we, again, are losing a member of the team. So 583 has not only a second, but it has a third and a fourth. But we'll get to those in a minute. We're going to start off here with the second printing, which, again, is new cover art from the last. I dig it. I like the 3 in the background. It kind of has like a movie poster kind of vibe to it. I like it. I haven't seen any recent sales for this cover, though, within the last 3 months. But when you look at the asking prices, again, this isn't going to be a ton, but not too bad. There are cheaper copies looking for only $10 to $15, but then you'll see some more on the higher end, too, reaching up into that $55 kind of range, as you can see here. Grant, there's plenty of copies in that 10 to 15 range, so there are some outliers, but this is kind of the range of what you're looking at if you find one in a box. Again, it's not going to get you rich, but yeah, you never know. Once those cheaper copies are gone, maybe it sticks with those higher prices, but we'll see where it goes from there. Next, we are going to go stick with this issue, and we're going to go to the third print, and then we're going to go on to the next few issues because they all join to form a connecting cover. I'm a sucker for a good connecting cover, and this one ain't too bad. I found this one in dollar boxes plenty of times, so keep this in mind. This is something you can find on the cheap if you are looking. We're going to start off with the third print again for 583, and you're going to get one member per cover, some letters. It's going to build towards something bigger. So here we go. We got the third print for 583. But when we get to 584, it's only the second print that will have this cover and this cover art to match. And same thing with the next issue, 585, also a second print. Don't mind the color change. It's just the quality of the pictures that I found are from 2 different areas, so it doesn't quite match exactly, but it'll be fine. For our purposes, you get it. 586 is the last one, and you can see here as we got all 4 members represented on these covers, and when you put them all together, it tells you the story. 3, casualty. All the members, spells out the name of the arc. I think I like it. It's cool. Like I said, I found this a few times in those boxes while digging. Prices have been very inconsistent over the years too. These things have sold for a lot and for very little. So keep that in mind as well. I'm just going to throw out a few examples for you so you can get a kind of range. Again, inconsistent. The pricing on these has been very inconsistent. These blue covers, because like I said, I found them over the years in the dollar bins, and sometimes they flip for a lot. I'm talking like 20 to 30 for an individual, and then nothing like the next time out. It'd sell for like $4. So very inconsistent pricing. It's just all in the timing, I guess. But with that, here are just a couple of examples to give you, like I said, that range. You can see as cheap as $5. And then look, there's a 9.8 that sold for only $34. $34 for 9.8 is basically a $4 copy when you got to factor in all the fees that it costs to get that book graded. And it's a 9.8. So, and that's just for whatever reason. Those examples are 586. It's, like I said, I was going to go and search and all that, but there are some higher than that, more than that $5 range, but not by much. And asking prices here also tell the story. this can be something that can be $15 for all four, like $30 for all for an individual one, or $30 for a 9.6. So like I said, pricing is kind of all over the place. You'll find some sets out there, some individuals. It's just kind of the Wild West. But if you find it for cheap, find like $1 box, they're kind of fun. So like I said, I like it when they build something. That said, this isn't the only connecting set they did for this series. This series was so popular that they decided to do it again. So we are going to go back to 583 and start all over, this time with the 4th print cover. And again, to kind of spoil it, the member who, again, died at the time, and he has since returned, obviously, was Johnny Storm. So he gets the spotlight and the spoiler covers here for the 4th print. Well, it starts with the 4th print. The rest are all going to be thirds. So here you go, 583. Going to go through time, looking at Johnny's kind of growing up through the years. 3rd print for 584. 585. 3rd print as well. More modern take. And then the more recent take here with 586. And then once again, these will all go together and form a much bigger image with the different Johnnies across the board. Still pretty cool. These ones are still pretty cheap. Again, they had some times where they were a little bit up and down, but right now, these are all still pretty cheap, but still worth looking for. And if you find them, it's still kind of a fun little thing to go and dig out. As I said, they've hit higher highs than where they're at now. Look, this is an incomplete set that, oh no, it's a complete set. 583 to 586, $3.58 on 2 bids. Granted, shipping was like $10, but still, only $3 for the whole set. It's very, very cheap. And then the asking prices, this is where I saw 584, 585, 586. So 3 out of the 4, $25. $10 for an individual issue, $20 for the whole set, $10 for an individual issue. As I said, it's kind of all over the place. So you can get them for cheaper, less, more. It's really based on the timing and what's on the market at the time you might be looking. But if you find them in a box at your shop, find them in the $1 box, they're cheap. Yeah, just take a look. I just thought they were kind of cool. I like a good connecting set, and figured I'd show those this week. Now, we're going to shift gears, something completely different. And now for something completely different, we're going to go to movie adaptations. I like these too. And we're going to touch upon a series from Marvel that has a ton. And these are not all comic book size. Some of these are more magazine size, but they're still basically comic books on the inside, so they still qualify for what we're talking about here. We're going to start off with Marvel Super Special. And we're going to jump right into the middle. We're not going to start at the front and whatever. Again, all of Marvel Super Special are not movie adaptations, but many of them are. And you'll see as we get back to this series later down the line again. But for today, we're going to pick 3 right here in this area. So we're going to start with number 31. Guys, remember the 80s classic, The Last Starfighter. Last Starfighter, comic adaptation, the official adaptation of the spectacular new film. There you go. And like I said, it's a little bit bigger than your normal comic, has more that magazine size, but it's not quite like a full like magazine, but it is the adaptation. It was $250 at the time, which, you know, not too shabby. That said, this thing can sell from anywhere from like $13 to like $15. That's where they've been like lately, that kind of $10 to $15 kind of range. And asking prices are also similar. $10, 15, 18. So you can go anywhere from 10 to 20 really on the market what they're asking. Condition, higher grade will get you a little bit more than your normal bagged up, and these could be a little banged up because again, they're magazine size. They might not have been bagged and boarded because not many people bag and board magazines, or at least did back when this came out in the 80s, 1984 to be precise. But there's our first one, Last Starfighter, and then the very next issue they adapt another classic. This time, My Muppets. I was a big Muppet guy growing up. The Muppets Take Manhattan. I still like watching this movie. I don't know. It just brings me back. Brings me back to that time as a kid. But The Muppets Take Manhattan, once again, oversized. It's an adaptation for the film. Copy sold. Well, $10. Best offer on like $10. And then a 9.4 CGC sold for $160 for a 9.4. I don't know if there's 9/8 of this or not, but still, that's a pretty solid price. When you look raw, $10, a 9.4, 160. If you find a decent raw copy, it might be worth grading when you look at a sale like that. So just something to consider. And asking prices, I only found one right now. So despite the fact that we see those $10 copies sold, the only copy I could find available right now is $80 raw. So once again, keep this in mind. These things may not add up and line up exactly. So if you were to find one in your shop, where you could price it is really up to you. Where the market's going to go from here, because right now the market may have been there, but now it's going to be set to here. Where's it going to go? We don't know. But that's where you can see the big, the big distancing between what the asking prices are and what the recent sales are. And sometimes the buyer out there might start arguing. They might start making offers and be like, hey, look, the last copy sold for $10. That doesn't mean this guy has to sell it for $10 just because the last one did. So keep that in mind as well as a buyer. You can't make the seller sell it to you for what you want, despite what might have happened before. Because as they could tell you, well, then you should have bought that copy. But that all said, there's our Muppets Take Manhattan. And we're going to get to our last little adaptation, which is another 80s classic. Buckaroo Banzai. Buckaroo Banzai. It's a really weird flick. It's really weird. I'm just going to say that. I've tried rewatching it again as an adult. I remember as a kid, it really wasn't my thing. And rewatching as an adult, it's still not really for me. This one's, it's a little odd. I like Peter Weller, RoboCop and all. John Lithgow. It's just, and I like the oddball things. It's just something about this just never connected with me. But it's still pretty cool. It's still pretty cool, though. It's not like my favorite. It's not like I'm saying it's a bad movie. I'm just saying it's not like my Big Trouble in Little China or anything, which is also a very weird flick when you put it in that context. But Buckaroo Banzai here, let's see what it sells for. $20, $15, $20. So a little bit more than the last ones, but still not a ton. Not going to break your back if you go and you look at those sales. Asking prices are anywhere as cheap as like $10, $25, $40. Once again, range is kind of all over the place depending on grade. You can find some cheap ones, you can find some more expensive ones. It's just, they're all out there. So you buy what you want to buy if you're going to buy. I'm not telling you to buy on the market though. I'm telling you to go look in your shop, go check that weird magazine box that they have underneath one of the tables, and it's just like, oh, there's some Conan and some epics mixed in down there, and maybe there's the oddball Marvel Super Special. But with that said, we're going to move off of that and go to our next little segment. And our next little segment is our mashups. Now, we're not going to do like a one theme mashup like we did the last couple of times where I'm going to have like, hey, let's take Marvel and DC, put them together, the amalgam books. We're not doing that. This week's selection of mashup books are just really oddball pairings. Just things you just might not have ever thought to put together that, they did in comic book form. Starting with Archie versus Predator. So, yeah, you wouldn't have thought. This is not a natural connection. You got aliens versus Predator, sure. Archie versus Predator? No, I just don't see what the Predator's going to do there in Riverdale. But, hey, it happened. Not only did it happen twice. But we're only going to look at the first series for right now. But there is a sequel miniseries. And this was 4 issues, by the way. So, and there's multiple variants as well. But we're just going to kind of look at these cover A's first. So here we go with number 1. I'm just going to show you the covers for number 2. You got Predator under a desk. 3 and 4. Weird crossover, right? Weird little mashup. But it happened. Prices? Well, again, you're not going to get rich if you find them. But if they're cheap enough, yeah, maybe worth picking up. I mean, look, $15, number 1 is sold for, and then the whole set, $35. All right, like I said, it's not going to make you rich if you find it in a box. But if you find it for a couple of bucks, like I said, it might be worth your time to pick it up. Also, just for fun, for a weird read, Archie versus Predator, right? Asking prices are kind of in that same kind of range. There's some cheap copies of the random one-offs for like $5 to $10, but the whole set is generally in that kind of like $35 to $40 kind of range for all 4. So when you figure that out individually, they're still about $10 a piece on average. You average it all out. So that's what you're looking at if you're looking into Archie versus Predator, as well as, like I said, there's variants for these as well. There's B covers. There's B covers, and I think there's one incentive, but we're not going to get to the incentive. We'll save that for something else. But we are going to look at the B covers right now because the first one is really cool. I dig this with holding the Jughead head for number 1. I believe this is Eric Powell. I dig this cover. I like it. I think it's cool. And then some of these other variants are also pretty interesting. When you take a look, you got a Robert Hack there for number 2, and then you got Predator on a motorcycle there in issue 3 and issue 4. Yeah, it's kind of some fun stuff. So with these, pricing is still basically around the same, but I'm going to show you just a couple of examples. But by and large, it's around the same, where you're talking like, that kind of $10 kind of range. Like it's $8 for number 3B for the 1 sale. And then some of the others here, we're looking at the 4-pack of the B's, like $40. 1 through 4, $40, and then $7 for that number 1 B cover. And then some of these, it says they're like the C covers, so I don't know if there were incentives as well. They're also kind of mixed in, so there's B's and there's C's, but they're all basically priced the same. There's a couple that are a little more expensive. Maybe we'll look at them at another time, but for now, just ballpark. That's what we're talking about here. And Archie didn't only cross over with the Predator. That wasn't the only oddball thing. Actually, a couple of years before, Archie got to meet the Punisher. So we're going to look at this one too. Because, again, who would have put these two together? The Punisher going to Riverdale. I wouldn't have seen it. But here we go. It did happen. There's 2 covers for this book. I kind of like the ASM kind of, it's not a real tight homage, but you're kind of getting that vibe out of it. Kind of like the ASM 129 there on the first one. But there is the other copy as well. Copies of this, well, $14, $30 for the newsstand. So you get a newsstand bump here because people like paying that premium for newsstands these days. So make sure you look at the back, because I think you have to look at the back cover to see the barcode on this one, which the one seller for the $30 is showing you, because it's like an Archie skull on the back, and then you got the barcodes on the back. So you might have to take it out of the bagging board to see that for certain. But with that, asking prices. Either cover here, you got $10 for the other cover, $50 for the pair, $30 again for the newsstand, and then there's another individual for $25. So it's really anywhere from $10 to $25 an issue, I guess. I don't know. Again, wide ranges on some of these books this week. It's just some weird stuff, as I said. I was sitting around at work last week, and this is just the stuff I was looking at, and just said, hey, you know what? This is going to be next week's show. This is the weird stuff I was looking at, so you guys are forced to look at it too. And with that, we're going to keep going with a little bit of weird and another weird little mashup. Getting out of Riverdale, though, we're going to go over to Ren and Stimpy. And Ren and Stimpy had a little crossover with Spider-Man facing off against Powder Toast Man. I know I talked about this one on Dollar Bin Digging way back. It's still the case. You can still find these in dollar bins. And just for fun, I would still say go and grab it. And it's worth a couple of dollars. Not a ton. Once again, not going to make you rich, but here we go. Copies of this issue 6 of the series sells for $10. And then look, one sold for best offer on $3.50. And another best offer on $10. So it could go really cheap, and then it could sell for like $10 to $15 out of nowhere. It's really just in the timing, people looking, searching, and for whatever reason, this book from 1993 could sell for a bit more or not sell at all. It's just one of those things. And the market, again, $10 to $15 is really the range most people are asking. The occasional cheaper copy shows up, but that's what you're going to see when you look at the Spider-Man, Powder Toast Man mashup there. So we're going to use this book here, though, to piggyback us into our last segment, which is My Nostalgia Picks. And we're just going to figure, you know what? Screw it. We're just going to look at Ren and Stimpy, because there are a few Ren and Stimpy books that you should be aware of in case you're out there digging and you run across them. Yes, we're going to start off with number 1. Obviously, everybody loves the number 1. Not to say this is going to make you a ton of money, because the first Ren and Stimpy show comic, it's out there. You can find these, and you can find them sometimes still in dollar bins, and you can still find them still sealed with the scratch and sniff, because that's the gimmick on this one. There was some scratch and sniff stuff going on here. So here's the book, and then I think I got a poly bag version, so you can get a look at what it looks like when it's inside the poly bag. Yeah, here we go. So free air fouler enclosed. So you got a little big nose on the plastic bag, and you'll see open the bag for the secret message inside. And on the back, if you were to flip it over, you can see like there's a scratch and sniff like thingy in there. So that's what you find if you can still find one sealed in that poly bag. Either way, sealed or unsealed, you're not going to get much of a premium for the sealed ones, but it's like $8, $9 or what they're selling for. So maybe around $10. Asking prices, $8, $30, $25 bidding on a 9.6. So who knows where that's going to end, but $10 to $30 is really where you're looking at. Mostly closer to the 10. There will be some outliers. And there's also, you got the newsstand version, you got the sealed versions, all that stuff. But the weird thing you want to keep an eye out for here is that there are later printings. While the second print doesn't do much, nor is it easy to figure out without opening the book to figure out the second print. But the third print can be worth a bit more. Well, at least the asking prices on the third seem to be a bit more. All right, here, let's just get into it. Let's look at it. By and large, for the cover, it looks the same. So how are you going to tell if this is the first or the third print or even the second print? From what I gather from the third print, instead of the other back, you're going to get this Marvel What If and Crunch and Munch back. So in the third print, you're getting the Crunch and Munch back cover. So that's what you're looking for here to look for your third print. Crunch and Munch on the back. So there's your third print. What's the third print sell for? Well, it doesn't necessarily sell for a lot. A couple have sold for pretty cheap, as you can see. A best offer on $4, $8.79. No different than that first print, really. If not, that one is even cheaper. But I saw some of the asking prices were a bit higher for the third print, with $20 to $50. There was even higher than $50, and there's a couple lower, but a lot of them were in this $20 to $50 range asking for this third print. So does that mean it's worth $20 to $50? I don't know. All I'm saying, that's what the market seems to be looking for. So if you find one in your shop and it happens to be that Crunch and Munch back and it's the third print, maybe if it's cheap enough, if it's a buck or two, I might as well grab it, Who knows? But with that said, this still isn't their first. As I mentioned, this is not their first. This is the first issue of their series, which ran for 44 issues. We'll get to the end in a second. But their first appearance actually was in this other weird book, this number 5 for Pure Images. I don't know. I don't know this book. I don't have this book. But this apparently is their first in comics. So keep an eye out for it. You never know what you might find. Weird oddball indie book, right? Because this thing's about $40. One sold for 20, but by and large sells for about $40 from what I saw. Asking prices $80, $100, $150. So asking prices are a bit higher than those sales, which were still recent. I mean, that's March 2nd, $40. So it's not like these go back to December or years ago. This was just 10 days ago, this sale. So $40 for this is what it sold for. And then, like I said, the asking price is a little bit higher. So keep that in mind if you can stumble across this Pure Images 5. And you'll see them. They're on the cover, so there's an easy way to find them. But this is what you want to keep your eye out for if you're digging in a weird box and you don't know what you're looking at. Just remember this cover, and maybe you'll know what you found, That said, hitting the end of the run is always key. I also noticed there's a lot of newsstands that they're asking prices, just random newsstands throughout the run, especially on the later end. It ran for 44 issues, but like newsstands in those 20s and the 30s, there's random asking prices for like $25, $25 just because it's a newsstand copy. It's out there. That's what I'm not saying there's tons of available either. So just keep that in mind, that if you stumble into a newsstand and if it's cheap, maybe worth grabbing. Not to say it's gonna get that price, but you never know. People pay for weird things. People collect what they want to collect, and some people really like collecting newsstands. So don't deny them that. If you can find it cheap enough, maybe you can make a couple of bucks for yourself. But we're going to start in here. Issue 43, second to last issue. Again, printed by Marvel, Nickelodeon. Not a astronomically cool cover, but it's not bad. Kind of jumps out at you, that red, but does okay. Sold for $55. Issue 43 sold for $55 back in February. So keep that in mind. If you find one of these, they could sell all right. Asking prices, however, aren't that at that level, but they're still $10 to $20, and they'll seem to be very fine copies as well. So just something to be mindful of. As I said, prices could be weird with these oddball books. Asking prices could be lower, and the ones that actually sell could be higher, and then vice versa. Where only the ones sell for cheap, and then the asking prices left behind are much higher. It could be a crapshoot. So it's just weird stuff. Again, it's not at the top of the market. It's not stuff off the hot lists, so it's not going to be updated automatically. Some of these prices could be stagnant from the last time this book was hot. Some of these could just be random. I don't know why I'm pricing it this way, but this is the market, just trying to give you a sense of what it is. As we get to our last book and wrap this up, the final issue. Talked about it plenty of times. Final issues, always something to be mindful of. Even says it right there on the front. Last issue, issue 44. This one does okay. As seen on TV. Just like the issue 43. And I think I even have one where they're paired up. Oh, that's right. That $55 sale, it wasn't just for 43. It was for 43 and 44. That's why it's there. And I put it under here for both, because it's both of them together. So keep that in mind. $55 was for the last 2 issues, not just issue 43. Sorry, I didn't notice it. I can see it now in the listing, but the picture just showed 43. But 44, you can see also listed underneath that, $20, $43. Those are actual sales just for 44. Asking prices for 44, $50, $48, $100. Raw by itself. Last issues, some of them are tough. Some of them could be pricey. Just something to keep in mind. I get it. That was a really weird list this week. I don't know why. This is just, like I said, this is stuff I was looking at. And I said, you know what? Putting these all together. This is going to be this week's show because this is what I was looking at in my downtime last week. So with that, that's all I got for you. Hopefully you still found that entertaining. Hopefully you found it useful. And hopefully you find some of these books and you find them for cheap because, like I said, you can make a couple of bucks potentially. And some of it's just fun stuff to go out there and find. So with that, thanks for stopping by and checking this out. I appreciate you all. I still have the shorts hitting every day, and I also have members-only content coming. I'll probably be dropping my Wednesday want list at some point today, Monday. I'm filming this on Sunday, but I'll drop this video, Hidden Gems, in its normal, well, not normal, but in the current 10 p.m. Monday night spot. I'm probably going to move back to 9 after Last of Us is over because I wanted to move off and let Andy and Dub have their Last of Us recap show, but I'll probably move back to 9 after this week. But somewhere tonight, I'll drop for members. Actually, I might even share with everybody so everybody can see my watch list, my want list. It's actually the watch list. I know, I flip-flopped on the name. It's the Wednesday watch list. Just some books coming out this week that I'm kind of keeping an eye on as far as pricing goes to see what you Wednesday warriors should be keeping an eye out for when you go and check the shelves at the shop this week. So keep an eye on that. I'll be dropping sometime today once I round out my list. I got a preliminary list, but I got to check a few other things before I finalize it and sit down and film it. That all said, hopefully you're enjoying that. Hopefully you appreciate the content. I appreciate all the support. Got plenty more coming in on your way. We got Chasing Ghosts coming up tomorrow, the Tack Show Wednesday, Dollar Bin Digging on Thursday. Friday night is the Mail Call Madness boys. They've been going live the last few weeks. I think they're sticking with it. I think they like it. And SNS Saturday Night Special coming on Saturday, and Tales from the Dark Side live on Sunday. And then we'll start it all over again. So with that, thanks again, and I'll see you guys later with some more content. All right, bye.